Good morning, everyone. This is Ben Dunn, founder of Antarctic Press, creator of such comics as Warrior Nun, Ninja High School, Mighty Tiny, Tomorrow Girl, Penguina, Marvel Mangaverse, and a host of other comics. So, yesterday, the first two episodes of Star Wars Acolyte dropped, and I started watching the first episode. In about the first 3 or 4 minutes, I decided, you know what? I'm not going to watch this. I just simply wasn't interested. It just seemed, boring and derivative, and I've just come to the conclusion that it wasn't made for me. I mean, I'm not going to fault the people who made it. It people may enjoy it, in which case, great, enjoy it. Watch it, love it, do whatever you want with it. But as for me, as far as I'm concerned personally, I'm not target audience, and I have to admit that. You have to say that, you know what, I was there for the original Star Wars. I was 13 years old. It came out in 1977. I remember my dad took me to a theater. It was only two theaters at that time. It was the Wonder Theater in San Antonio, Texas. And we waited in line, and I had no idea what to expect when I sat down in that darkened theater with the whole room packed with people. The theater was also saying "The Spy Who Loved Me," and I overheard some guy. I remember this vividly. Some guy saying, "Well, it looks like no one's going to see that movie," because there was just no line there. For the Spy Who Loved Me. But, granted, it came out like 3 months before, so many people who wanted to watch it had already seen it. But, I digress. So when the theater darkened and the 20th Century Fox logo came up, there was no Lucasfilm, and it just went, and then just, boom, the Star Wars logo just appeared. And I knew from that moment on that I was going to watch something special. When that Star Destroyer came overhead for the first time anywhere, as far as I was concerned, it changed the world for me. It changed my outlook. I wanted to be a filmmaker. Had I been, less of a coward. I mean, I admit it. I was afraid to move out and go someplace else. But I wanted to be a filmmaker. I wanted to go to film school. But I chose to do comics instead because it was easier. I love comics anyway, so and that's the path I took. But I was a Star Wars fan since then. I tried to collect everything. I was deep into the lore. It was just something special about that movie when it came out. It was magical. It was something that literally changed the direction of my life. But as I've grown older, I begin to realize that was just a nice nostalgic part of my past life, my childhood, basically. I've held on for my love of Star Wars, but I've come to the conclusion that, like an old friend who's grown old, who's ready to pass on, I have to let it go. I have to let it go. I have to move on with my life. I can't be obsessed with Star Wars anymore. Star Wars was a pivotal part of my life in the past, and I freely admit it that it was something that I spent a lot of time and effort, debating friends and family about it. And then I thought to myself, how much time must I have spent, doing all that stuff when I could have been doing something creative and more useful? How much money must I have spent buying Star Wars merchandise, buying Star Wars collectibles, just to see it collect dust on the shelf? It occurred to me as I grown older that things like that are no longer important to me. It seems to me that the older I get, the less I value collecting things just for the sake of collecting. I mean, I'll still, buy stuff, collect stuff, but I pretty much set myself as on a budget. Unless it's at the price I want to pay for it, I'm just going to walk away. I've sort of limited myself to buying any comics to, $2, $3 or less. I won't pay. I won't pay for stuff that I deem to be expensive. I just won't. Unless it's a bargain. Shoot, if I found a Fantastic Four #1 for $100, I ain't passing that up. So I'm not. I may be not as interested in collecting one. I'm not stupid. So when I started watching Acolyte, I really tried. I really did. But Disney Star Wars have come to the conclusion that it's just not for me. I'm not the intended audience. They said that, they even said themselves, that I'm not the audience. And I've decided to take them for their word. Okay, you've convinced me. I'm not the target audience. I'm not going to watch your stuff. I'm not going to buy your stuff. I'm not going to support your stuff. I'm not going to disparage it. I'm not going to insult it. A lot of people worked on this. They worked hard on it. And who am I to judge? What the people who made it. I can only decide for myself that this was not made for me. And I've come to the conclusion that unless something fundamentally changes, where I feel the need to want to watch it, I've decided I'm just not going to waste my time anymore. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to sit there, spend how many hours watching this show when I could draw a page of a comic. I could get some exercise. I could spend time with my family. I can write letters. Do sketches. A lot more stuff that to me is more personally satisfying. Than sitting there and watching a TV show that wasn't meant for me. There's a lot of things that are not meant for me. I don't indulge in those either. Comic books. I don't read Marvel and DC anymore. I haven't for a very long time. Oh, I still love the characters. Don't get me wrong. But again, not made for me. I have to admit that. I think the sooner I admit it that this wasn't meant for me, the more I can feel a sigh of relief that what, it's time to move on. Time to create my own things. Focus on things that I truly do like. Truly do enjoy. I love history. I love nostalgic stuff that didn't insult my intelligence. Didn't talk down to me. I've been watching a lot of old vintage movies because there's a lot of them I haven't seen. I've really made. There's a lot of movies I have not seen that people talk about. And I've always wanted to see it, so I've decided I'm going to go ahead and make that my entertainment, basically. So, if you love Disney Star Wars, good for you. I'm glad you do. At least you're entertained. If you're satisfied with that, great. That's wonderful. I'm not going to disparage you. I'm not going to insult them, for making it. So, it seems highly dubious to me, to those who feel the need to want to tear down something that people, made. When all you have to do is just walk away. Just say, not for me, not for me. So anyway, I tried. I really did. I wanted to watch it so I could participate in a podcast with my bud Larry Higgins so we could talk about it. But I'm just gonna have to admit, guys, I couldn't get through it. I just could not get through it. The first 2 or 3 minutes, I just said, what am I doing? Why am I sitting here watching this when it's just not for me? So, apologies, Larry. I'm too weak. I can't do it. I'm not strong enough. So, it's just one of those things that just happens. And I'm just, I'm going to spend my time trying to get another comic book page done instead. So I feel that that's a better use of my time, than to watch it. So, anyway, that's my thought. I don't know how you feel. It's just my opinion. You can take it for what it's worth. I'm just one guy, but I'm happy with my small little sliver of the world, and just making things and trying to do as much as I can with the time left I have on this world. I know I'm getting older. I don't know how many years I have left. But I'm going to make use of every single day that I have left on this planet. And to do whatever I can to produce as much as I can. Before that that day approaches where I'm no longer going to be here. And when as you grow older, you begin to realize your own mortality. You begin to understand that, you're not going to be here forever. So, if I can leave behind something positive, before I go, then I'll be satisfied when that day comes. So anyway, didn't want to end this on a downer. I just wanted to say that if you want to watch Acolyte, go ahead, knock yourself out. Say all you want. I don't, you have that right. You have that right to do that. But as for me, I've decided I'm just going to move on. So anyway, do what you will, harm no one. Until next time, this has been done. Signing off.